Joining me now is Vani Hari. You might know her as the Food Babe, as her millions of followers and readers do. She's a supporter of the secretary. If you were watching those hearings, there it was. She was basically a prime real estate there for the hearing. She is the author of the book, Feeding You Lies, How to Unravel the Food Industry's Playbook and Reclaim Your Health. Vani, thanks for being back with us here on the Hill. Always nice to see you.
Nice to see you too, Blake.
So you had that front row seat. You got a pretty good idea, I would think, of what Secretary Kennedy, as he's now known, is going to do out the gate, especially when it comes to food. What do you think he's going to do? Give me the top 2, 3, 4 things, whatever you think it may be.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to keep his campaign promises to look at artificial dyes. You know, we have 15% of children taking some kind of ADHD medication. We have 7 million children being diagnosed with ADHD. And we know, based on the studies, that artificial food dyes affect our children. In Europe, they require cigarette type warning labels on their products if there's an artificial dye used, and the entire American food industry decided to strip their products overseas of those artificial food dyes when that label took place in 2010, over 15 years ago. And so now's the time to catch up the United States on those regulations. And so I think that's one of the first things that he looks at, because there are so many mothers out there that are tired of scouring ingredient lists and looking for safe products for their children to eat. And there's so many schools out there that are looking to ban artificial food dyes. We have 30 different states looking at legislation right now to enact a ban on artificial food dyes, either for the whole state or just in schools, like California just did, which passed unanimously. It was a bipartisan effort, all Democrats, all Republicans. And that's what I'm so excited about, because these are issues all Americans can get behind.
Okay. You know, it's 6:20 here on the East Coast on a Friday night. Speaking of food, I don't know if breakfast is for dinner in some households, but there's a big story with eggs right now. The cost of eggs have gone through the roof. It's went from north of $4 to look at that, almost $8 right now. And the Democratic Senator Ruben Gallego had this recommendation just the other day. I want to get your reaction on the other side.
There is a bird flu vaccine that is used in Europe, used in Mexico, that is given to our chickens. They should have instituted a law saying that we need to start vaccinating these chickens so we don't have these huge jumps prices in eggs.
What about that idea, Vani? It's probably in the purview of USDA, but what about that idea of vaccinating against bird flu? It's been one of the main causes for the spike of egg prices.
We need to look at the root cause of why these chickens are getting so sick and why they're susceptible to these diseases. And it starts with the fact that they're raised on factory farms in crowded conditions, giving antibiotics and other growth growth promoting drugs to make them fatter. And this is the root cause of how we have healthy livestock in this country. And when you look at the egg prices, you'll see that the organic and pasture-raised egg prices have relatively stayed the same, because this is affecting conventional eggs. I just picked up some beautiful blue pasture-raised eggs. I brought them in, and my little son, he was so excited. He wanted to make an egg right away because they were so beautiful to look at and so yellow and bright and rich in omega-3 fatty acids, because those chickens are eating what they're supposed to be eating, not genetically fed corn and soy that make them sick.
So don't vaccinate with the bird flu like the senator says?
I'm not an expert on the vaccine, on the bird flu vaccine, but I do know that we have to fix the root cause of how our livestock is raised in this country.
Let me ask you this. It's Valentine's Day, as we've talked about, and there's a lot of parents in this country, Vani, who grapple with, man, did I really just give them all that sugar and candy this morning? But you know what? They're kids, and we were kids, and we used to do that, but I don't know, there's now this push to have all of us and our kids eat healthier. And here was Robert F. Kennedy Jr. during his confirmation hearing about basically the choices we make on the foods that we eat. I'll get your reaction on the other side.
I don't want to take food away from anybody. If you like a cheeseburger, a McDonald's cheeseburger, a Diet Coke, which my boss loves, and you should be able to get them. If you want to eat Hostess Twinkies, you should be able to do that. But you should know what the impacts are on your family and on your health.
So that was what he basically said about the president and him loving McDonald's. What would you say to parents tonight on Valentine's Day when there's this sort of decision of how to treat it. And what do you think RFK Jr., his message will be?
I think it's really simple. We've got to choose products that eliminate a lot of these additives that are in fast food and in these products that we feed everybody on Valentine's Day. You go down the grocery store aisles, and I call it the holiday death aisle. It shows up at every holiday, and it's these brightly colored treats full of artificial food dyes that are banned all over the globe, like titanium dioxide, which is in Skittles. It's an ingredient that can cause DNA damage. It shouldn't
So do
be
you
in
think
our
do you think
food,
RFK
and we
Jr. should
look
ban
out
it?
for these chemicals. I'm sorry?
You think RFK Jr. and the government should ban stuff like that?
We should catch up to our European counterparts. We have over 10,000 chemicals allowed in our food here in the United States, whereas in Europe, they only allow 400. We have to start looking at what these chemicals are doing. And I remember when I removed these chemicals from my diet and went to a whole real food diet and decided to opt out of the system, my whole body changed. This is what makes me so passionate about what I do, because I know there is a better life out there without chronic disease for Americans.
All right, we got to leave it there. Vani Hari, known as the Food Babe, with us tonight here on the Hill. Nice to see you again, as always. I'm sure we'll talk to you again soon.